Hi, and welcome back to PechPong, channel where I talk about match reviews, things that you can do to get better, as well as some information stuff that might help you improve as a player as well. Stick around for the end of the video to see a little third ball cool receive that can really mess up your opponents. So either stick around or just skip to the end of the video and you can see that. So today's match review is going to be against a 2600 player. He's from Portland, Oregon area. And his name is Jiwei. Don't even know how to even start pronouncing his last name. Like maybe it's Shi, but yeah, I don't know. I played him here at the Presper Financial Architects Open here in Akron, Ohio, and I believe this is the semifinal round of the Open. So yeah, let's just get started and talk about his gameplay and my strategies and kind of how it went. All right, so let's go over Jiwei's game. He's a two-wing looper, very good at attacking the ball. Probably looks to get the first opening and make a couple follow-ups to win the point. So kind of getting a little bit more in-depth about that is he has a extraordinary defense, which is definitely going to help him whenever he doesn't quite get that attack. He can still play a good shot and then get right into the rally. And the rally is kind of where he really excels. Pretty much nothing gets by him, and he's really good at the rally. So whenever it gets into the open point and you're going forehand and backhand with him, I feel like he's very strong there, and I don't know, it's just, he feels very natural in that area of the game. So his defense, being able to get a couple balls back and then get into rally is what really makes him 2600, is his ability to get into that strong area, the rally, whichever way he needs to, whether it's his first attack or his making a good block or two. So another area that I think he's extremely strong in is his forehand service. It's a little bit deceptive, meaning like he comes in and he moves very quickly through the hitting area. And you'll see later in the match, I made a lot of mistakes because I think I kind of went in a bit too early. I should really let the ball come out and try to read the spin a little bit better. Because his serve is so deceptive, I felt like maybe I should have waited a little bit for it. Sometimes they kick up or sometimes they kind of hover like a little spacecraft, and that's when you know that it's heavy backspin. So kind of watching the bounce is something I should be doing more of. I really didn't feel like he was able to finish the point on like one ball. So he wasn't like a one ball player, like a strong shot and just end the point. He really likes to play good placement, and I mean, of course he can make a really strong shot if he needs to, but I feel like the way he builds his game currently is that he kind of just plays the ball into a good spot and then gets to the rally. Behind the two-wing looper, I really felt like he was kind of a forehand player at heart. So whenever the opportunity came or the pressure really built, I felt like he was looking to make a forehand, mainly in the opening, like make a forehand opening loop. So yeah, I felt like that was an area that I could target, is to kind of bring him over to the backhand side and make him use his forehand, then maybe get him out wide. Primarily, I felt like he likes to push the serves. Maybe against me, he only likes to push, but from what I was seeing, he doesn't too often go in and flip with the backhand or try to make a lot of forehand flips. I think if you were to serve a lot of topspin serves, he probably would start flipping a little bit more, but I think he's not really trying too hard to get that first opening flip. He's really okay with making a short push or a long push, and then seeing where he can go from there to get into that rally. Alright, so let's get into my tactics against him. Some key tactics are, he liked to serve kind of at the beginning of the match, he was serving dead and underspin, pretty straight, and I was using a very large slice with my backhand, just because I wanted to get the point out of clean play. I wanted to introduce a lot of side spin and a lot of backspin just to get him out of this like routine play. So whenever he gave me a dead ball serve, I really tried to slice it really heavy with side spin and underspin, and that seemed to open up the point for me to make a really heavy loop and kind of get out of the conventional playing style. Another thing I tried to do was I tried to use my backhand flip and then maybe follow up with a forehand from the backhand corner. So turning the corner with my forehand after I get the backhand flip, mainly because I didn't really feel like he was kicking the ball back to me. I felt like if I made a good flip, he was just kind of blocking it back, and that gives me a good opportunity to turn and use the forehand sometimes. Probably the most impact tactic that I had in this match was using my reverse serve and doing a really heavy backspin to his backhand. I think a couple times he put it in the net and a couple times he put it long, and he most of the time just kept it medium long, and that let me open up with a lot of spin on my backhand. And for like the first 3-4 games, he actually blocked the ball just off the table. So I just thought, okay, let's just keep doing this, and we'll keep milking the cow until he gets used to my spins. So sometimes when he was able to push my serve short, if I was able to push the ball back short, I felt during this match that he wasn't as threatening. So it was kind of a 50-50 play. I wouldn't give him any advantage by pushing short again. Some players are really good at coming in over the table and making a backhand flip, or they have a really strong cut long to kind of target my in and out movement. But I felt like if I was to play short after my serve, it was pretty safe. And that kind of leads me into tactics against really good players. And from my experience, it's like you might find 1 or 2, 3 things that don't get you killed. And at the high level, I feel like that's really what it's all about, is finding those little areas that they cannot capitalize, because majority of the spots, they're going to finish you. So anytime you find that little area where you're like, oh, okay, I survived, they're not going to kill me if I do that, it lets you kind of get into the point and maybe figure out a way to get into your strengths. So moving forward in this match, taking the things that I did well and things that I did poorly, some areas that I think that I could really work on, and probably anyone who plays this game could really work on, are just the ability to mix up your speed. So let's say, just for example, I serve short, he pushes medium long, and I go for that spinny loop that I talked about. Maybe he's getting used to it, and I could mix up my speed. So instead of doing a spinny one, I do a really fast one. And then that kind of creates a difference between the two. And if he got used to my spinny one, then I use the fast one, and then maybe he would not get used to my spinny one because I was using different speeds and spins. So kind of mixing up the speeds in those situations can probably keep a tactic alive, instead of them kind of getting used to the same thing over and over, and then they kind of finally dial it in, and then they've got you cornered. So that's one thing that I felt like I could improve, is sometimes doing spinny, sometimes making fast loops, and creating that difference. Something that he did really well in this match, and I think it's something that everyone should do, is that in the beginning of the match he was doing more like heavy backspin and no spin serves, and this probably works against a lot of players for him, but against me it really wasn't working because I was able to keep that backspin serve short, and on that dead one I was doing that heavy side spin underspin slice, and I think he kind of just got a little bit tired of it. So he was able to see that trend and move away from it and move to a serve that was serving his purpose more, which was that a little bit higher toss, forehand tricky pendulum serve. And it really depends who you play, right? Some people might really like that serve, and some people might really not like the heavy dead, heavy under, or dead serve.
Congratulations to our top seed Jiwei for winning the first semifinal match, and valiant effort for Seth Pech.
Alright, so as promised, I was going to talk about a little trick that a lot of high-level players do after their forehand pendulum serve that can really cause a lot of havoc for their opponent. So I'm having my friend Senra here. He's from Sri Lanka. He's one of the best players over there. He's demonstrating the different touches and also what not to do. Big thanks to him for helping me out with this. So basically, what you're trying to do is you do a forehand pendulum serve, say somewhere to their forehand or middle, and they use a forehand receive against the serve, and they try to keep it short. What a lot of good players do is instead of coming in underneath the ball and making a backspin push, they come in a little bit on like the side of the ball, and they kind of like scoop it a little bit on the side. So it looks a lot like a push, and it feels a lot like a push, but what you're actually doing is you're continuing the spin on a little bit of a different axis. And when that opponent goes in to touch it, if they just come in and touch it again with a forehand, the ball will pop up and go sideways. And it's really clever because it looks a lot like a push, but it really forces the opponent to have to be very proactive. So they can't just sit there and do nothing after you do this. So what are you supposed to do when an opponent comes in a little bit on the side and kind of continues the spin? And there's a couple things you can do. You can either you can try to go with the spin with your forehand, which is probably the hardest option because any small error in this, you're going to probably pop the ball up straight to their forehand because that's where the spin's going. If you try to flip it, it's a little bit tricky because if you go straight on top of the ball wants to kind of go down a little bit. It has like side spin, so it either acts like a underspin or a topspin depending on where you touch it. So if you flip it, you want to make sure you flip it on the back of the ball and aim appropriately to account for the side spin that will kick off the racket. So yeah, you want to touch the back of the ball and go through the shot. That's probably going to be the most effective way to receive this third ball. And the last way is also pretty effective, is you come over with your backhand and cut against the spin. And this is probably a very good response as well because the ball's going to the opponent's backhand, which maybe usually isn't as strong as their forehand. And it also requires the least amount of energy. All you have to do is get your backhand and touch the ball, and the spin will kind of take care of the rest. So my hope is that you, when you encounter this, you don't mess it up. I think I did in this match. I'll probably play a little point here of that. It's kind of tripped me up a couple times, and it's really deceptive because I can't see it directly right away. It feels like a push, like I said. And yeah, like I said, my hope is that you can use it against your opponent, and when your opponent uses it against you, you know what to do, you practiced it, and you can capitalize on that. Hope you guys like that little tip, that little trick I showed you there, and hopefully you get to use it and practice it. So yeah, that's the video for today, and I hope to make another one soon. So I will see you guys then.